Welcome to On Purpose Coaching, where we challenge you to do better on purpose. Welcome to Enneagram'd On Purpose, a segment of On Purpose Planning and Consulting. I'm your coach, Coach Joanie, and today I'm going to be spending some time with some friends who are type 2s. So welcome to my two friends, Debbie and Aaron. Tell us about who you are. Quick snippet, just so that the audience knows who we're talking to. We'll start with Debbie.
Okay, my name is Debbie, of course, and I have a daughter, age 25. She's a producer in Seattle of big events, like for Microsoft and Amazon. And I'm a social worker for the welfare department. And I'm interested in all things self-help, Enneagram, anything that will promote me and improve me, I'm all in. So I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm always taking classes.
Nice. What about you, Miss Erin?
I have 3 teenagers, and I work at Geneva College as a finance manager during the day, and I'm a naturopath when I'm not at Geneva.
Yes. We like you holistic doctors. You help us out in so many ways that we can't get at the regular doc. So thank you for deep diving into that profession on the side. And yes, and it's so funny. Both of you do things to help others, and that's exactly what the 2 is. So let's hop right in. You're empathetic, generous, discerning, compassionate, encouraging, and helpful, but sometimes that needy martyr. The supportive helper. We love our 2s. We need our 2s. The motivations, you help us to be loved, and the ability to love others. But sometimes on the other side of that is being unloved, unwanted, unworthy, or not accepted. What did you all think about the 2 when you first got into the Enneagram? Like first hearing about it, taking the test, what did these particular qualities speak out to you? I'll let you go first, Debbie.
Well, I knew I was a 2 from the get-go. I was a 2 as a child.
Okay.
I have a strong one wing too. So I don't like injustice. I don't like unfairness. I want to include everyone. So I'm a big card sender. So I send get well cards, birthday cards. And I notice in the cards, I don't say, I miss you at the office. I say, we all miss you at the office.
Yeah.
Including everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I started volunteering in 8th grade, not just a normal volunteering, but with adults that were mentally challenged. I mean, I always go for the underdog.
Yeah.
So if I'm homeroom mom, I'm sitting with the child with Asperger's, so they're not alone.
Gotcha.
I can't help it. I gravitate to that person in the party that's by themselves, because I can talk to the wall. I can talk to anyone, but I want everyone to feel valued.
Yeah.
That way since a child. I can't help it. So the 2 is a no-brainer. Anyone that meets me or knows me would tell you I was a 2 when they read the descriptions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't help it. I'm at a party, I'm cleaning up, asking people if they need something else, putting stuff in the trash. I can't help myself.
Yeah. How about you, Erin?
Wow, I can resonate with everything that Debbie just said.
Yeah.
I think I also knew right away that I was going to be a 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because sometimes I think I help more than maybe I should, and I'm probably super annoying to a lot of people because I help even when they probably don't want my help.
Right. Okay. So what are some of those initial frustrations you found with your number? You kind of mentioned it a little bit right there. You help even when sometimes you're not even meaning to. How do you fight that frustration? Like how do you do with that?
I think I'm trying to get better about not feeling rejected when
That's that fear of being unwanted. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yes, that's definitely a huge struggle for me. But just even like, it's funny because I have to remind myself that like, just because somebody tells me that they have a headache or they're not feeling well, like that doesn't mean that they need me to fix it.
There you go.
But I'm like, I feel like I have to fix it. I'm a fixer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Is that a thing? Like a helper and a fixer?
That will be your one wing. Yes. The reformer, the perfectionist likes to make things better. They like to, if they see that it's off, they see that it's not right, they see that something's not flowing properly, they want to get in there and they want to fix it. So yes, that makes sense. How about you, Debbie?
I'll tell you what has helped me. It's still very hard. I mean, I heard someone talking about snakes at work yesterday, way across the room, and I had to say to myself, no one asked you for your advice. Because I know because I had snakes in my house. So anytime there's conversation going on at the office, I'm telling you, I have to literally say that mantra. No one asked you for your advice.
Yeah.
Because I know things. And I figured out how to make guacamole stay green and not turn brown. I want to tell everyone I should do a blog. No, it's like, but I have to sit on it. Like,
so of course we need to know, how do you keep guacamole green?
Well,
Tell the audience.
What you do is you, after you've eaten what you wanted to eat, you have it in a container that you're going to keep it in. And you smash it down with a spoon, like real tight to the bottom. And you fill it with a half an inch of water. And you put a lid on it. I use a Pyrex glass bowl. You put a lid on it and you put it in the refrigerator. It lasts for days. So all you do is you take the lid off and you pour the water down the drain. The guacamole doesn't move. It's usually just perfect, but you could mix it with a spoon if you wanted it, but I don't need to. It's creamy. It's wonderful, and it lasts for days. There, now I told someone.
Nice, thank you.
Yes, we all needed to know that. Thank you very much.
I did.
So let's get a little bit more into it. Type 2 is a supportive advisor, a thoughtful, generous, demonstrative, people-pleasing. And you both have mentioned exactly, what are you doing here? Stop moving. There we go. Mention that, and let's just walk through some of your core motivations. So being rejected and unwanted, or being thought worthless, needy, inconsequential, dispensable, or unworthy of love. But your core desire, really what you're looking for, is just to be appreciated, loved, and wanted. And because you're wanting to be loved and wanted, sometimes what ends up happening, especially with most twos, is their core weakness is that pride, that I know better, we know better, I know what you should be doing, I know how to fix it, I know how to make it better. But then on the other side of that is denying your own needs and emotions while using that strong intuition, because I heard Debbie say it, we just know things. I know what that's supposed to be. Using that strong intuition to discover and focus on the emotions and needs of other people. And then that confidence is inserting your helpful support or advice in hopes that others will say how grateful they are for your thoughtful care. What does that look like for, like, does it happen? Do you find yourself stuffing down what you need in order to give others what you think they need before maybe even asking? Erin, I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, I think I do that. And then I do it for so long and then I like explode. And then like I'm thinking about my kids who take the brunt of it.
Yeah. And that's exactly that. And that psychological, your defense mechanism is repression. It's exactly what you just kind of described, right? It's that stuffing down to avoid your own needs and your own feelings, to maintain that self-image of helpfulness, to say that, nope, I'm showing up. I'm here to help. I'm here to do whatever you need me to do, even though that's not how you feel. It's almost the opposite sometimes. Debbie, how about for you? Like, do you have that struggle as well?
Yes, I think because I'm in my mid-60s that I've gotten better at boundaries. But definitely when I was younger, I struggled with that. Not thinking that I knew more, thinking that I have helpful information for you. you know, who wouldn't want to save $1,000 on their homeowners and car insurance? I know how you can do it. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I should start a blog.
You should totally start a blog.
I mean, those things drive me crazy. There's this homestead tax that you can save on your taxes. And I've told people, you know, you could save a couple $1,000. So that cuts your mortgage payment way down. And they just don't want to be bothered to fill out a form online. That boggles my mind. So I just keep it to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. But how does that make you feel then? When you feel like you have to keep this information to yourself?
Well, I guess I need to write a book. I don't know. I just, you know, one of the things, like, I believe in natural things too, like Aaron does. And I got rid of my high blood pressure and I got rid of my vertigo just by taking a food supplement. Nothing else, nothing crazy, you know, $3 at Walmart. And I'm not a doctor or anything, but it worked for me. So wouldn't you want to share it?
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
if somebody does tell me they suffer from dizziness or vertigo, or their father does, or whoever,
Debbie's frozen.
well, this worked for me, or, you know, I'm no longer taking blood pressure medicine because I'm taking this, and I don't just offer it up. It has to come up in the conversation. It's helpfulness with boundaries.
That is helpfulness with boundaries. What are you thinking, Aaron? I saw you nodding.
I'm thinking I've really tried to be better about, because it's hard for me sometimes to know when people bring things up. Like, I'm really careful. I don't think I insert my opinion, but if somebody like brings it up, like something up that's health related, like I kind of almost think like, well, they know if they know my background and they know what I do they like, is that why they're bringing it up? Like, do they want my opinion? And I'm never sure. So I kind of am always cautious, but I want to help. So what I started kind of doing is just saying like, well, would you like to know what I think?
There you go. That's a good way of doing it.
But no one's ever said like, no, I don't care what you think. They might be thinking that though. But at least I feel like, I don't know, like I asked, I guess. I don't know. It's a hard balance, I think, especially when you're talking about natural things. Because I don't know if you found this to be true, Debbie, but like people are usually open to it or they're really not.
And they think you're nuts.
And most people think I'm nuts. I own the title. I'm fine with it. But yeah, most people do think I'm nuts.
Okay. So switching gears a little bit, being that you're such a relational number to begin with, a relational type, what are some of the things that you feel like you bring to a relationship, Debbie?
Well, I don't know if this is strong too or just me, but one of the things, it's hard to say I. So this is hard for me because I'm always inclusive saying we. So I'm pretty humble. Yeah. I don't talk about myself, but I can walk into a room and I take on what other people are thinking and feeling. I immediately know if someone's sad, if they're excited, if like whatever. I just have such high intuition. Okay. At work, they call me the detective, some of the people there, because I sense if a client is not telling the truth, if they're an addict, whatever. Okay. I just have high intuition.
How about
and it's well.
Okay. What do you think you bring to relationships, being such a relational type?
I think I also can really pick up on how others are feeling. I don't know. I also feel like, and I don't know if this is a strong two or if this is going down a different path, but I also feel like I don't like conflict at all. Like I probably will avoid it at all costs. So I kind of go out of my way to like just keep the peace.
Okay.
and make everyone feel comfortable. Like I want everyone to feel comfortable.
Yeah. How does that work with someone who actually wants to engage in conflict? Like an 8, who's very comfortable with it. How does that work when you come into contact with someone else that's kind of polar opposite?
Honestly, it drains me. It like emotionally drains me, and like I know you, so it would be fine. But if it was someone that I wasn't like comfortable with, I would probably like avoid that
Okay.
in the future.
Okay. How about you, Debbie?
I've always been drawn to 8s. I like strong people. I just do. Like, I pick them to work with. And when I was in direct sales for many years, and when I did the last one, I'm always a person that's all in. If whatever we're doing, if we're for a cause, when I started volunteering in 8th grade, I continued that. I served on many boards. And here's an example, like I worked the muscular dystrophy telethon every year, but I did the night shift because I would stay up all night. Now, see, that's one thing. You sacrifice your own comfort for other people. It was stupid, but I'm like, oh, I don't have any kids yet. I can stay up all night. Like, that's how I always looked at things. So, I did put other people's needs above mine. Always. Like, I would have been that great mother that always took the bent fork. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just how God wired me. So I think part of it came from my family of origin, how I fit in there as a caretaker. So I just always took that role on and ended up taking care of family members.
So with that being said, what's something that you feel like you need from a relationship then? On the other side of that?
I think I like to be appreciated, and I don't like it when I work with people and they take credit for my ideas. I gave somebody an idea and I just figured she was going to do a worksheet. I go to the convention and she is presenting my idea as her own. I didn't care that she did it, but she would have said, thank you, Debbie Cook, for giving me this training. I was flabbergasted. She never said anything. I thought, you stole that.
Yeah.
Because I'm trusting, and I have never dreamt someone would have done that, because if I would have used your idea in a training, I would have said, thank you, so-and-so, for giving me this idea, but that's okay.
Yeah. What about you, Erin? What's something that you look for in a relationship, being that you give so much out?
I also like to feel appreciated. I feel like as a 2 and like wanting to help people, like sometimes maybe my kindness is taken advantage of. And I really don't like when people that know me and how I am, like, will either take advantage or just use that to like make me feel guilty.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, cause like even just thinking about like my kids or my mom, like she knows that I don't want anyone to feel bad. So if I was invited for dinner and I said like, I can't make it, I have other plans, it would be like, oh, well, I'm really disappointed. And so then I would be like, okay, well, like, let me see if I can change my plans around so I can be there, because I don't want to disappoint you. But then like later I'm thinking, wow, that was quite the guilt trip. So
well, and I think that's just it though, right? Because when a 2 is so overly accommodating, what it is that you all are teaching people how to treat you, which is, that's fine, I'll get them to change their mind, or that's fine, I'll get them to do what it is that I want them to do. And that's where, those boundaries, as Debbie talked about, become very important, especially for a 2. Number one, so that others do not take advantage and overstep, but also on the other side, those boundaries are important so that, because your number is self-forgetting. so that you don't forget to take time for yourself, because then when you stop taking time for yourself, you become resentful and turn it outward and say, I can't take care of myself because I'm so busy taking care of you. So the giving in you, which is natural, then doesn't stay altruistic, which is what it should be, is that you're giving because that's what you want to do and it's out of the goodness of your heart, versus I'm an unhealthy too. I'm giving so that I get something in return. Do you ever find yourself in that state that you may be a bit angry or tired of the treatment, so to speak, so therefore you're giving to get? When do you find yourself in that state? Or if you find yourself in that state? Either one can, if you're, whoever wants to.
Well, I used to be the person that was on a hamster wheel, running, going nowhere. I would try to stuff 10 pounds in a 5-pound sack of activities. I did everything. Now, when I was young and didn't have a family, it was okay.
Yeah.
But when my daughter left to go to college, I decided I was going to change parts of my life, and I devote 1 day a week to self-care. I rarely schedule things on Sundays. I do on occasion, but I kind of find that I resent it. I take that day to do for me. Yeah. And whether it's to be spiritual and read, watch things I recorded on TV that are of a self-help spiritual nature, whatever. I write out my cards like that for the week. I'm a big card sender. I support a lot of people going through, I have 7 people in my life right now going through cancer treatment, various stages. And I'm going to be a driver for one on my day off. Like, it's boundaries. It's not, it's not too much.
Right.
That's the time, like I feed myself. I get a massage once a month. Like, I never would have done that before. It's like, why do I work if I don't pour back into myself and feed myself?
Yeah.
And so that is really important to me, and it's really changed my life.
Yeah.
But I didn't have time to do that. Like, if I was Erin and had 3 teenagers, I couldn't take that time. It's only that I could do it in the last few years.
Okay.
And it's changed me a lot. And also, I have learned to say the word no.
Yeah.
And, before I would take 2 classes at a time. I don't do that, rarely, unless it's a fun thing. I only take 1 class at a time.
Yeah.
I am not that crazy person trying to do too much. I also nanny on the side, but I'm very selective about that.
Mm-hmm.
Turn people down.
Yeah. What about you, Erin? She's done some growth work, right? On the other side of that, but do you find yourself still kind of stretched thin or giving to get because you're tired and you're like, I want some me time too? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I don't know if I feel like I'm giving to get. But I will say, like, really, my 2 oldest are pretty self-sufficient. I mean, like, college age. So it's just my youngest, and he's 16. So he's not. So I do feel like I have more time now for myself. But I think there's definitely room for improvement in that area, just being more intentional about it, self-care.
I mean, that makes sense. It's just for the 2, they have to ask themselves the question, am I doing this because I truly want to do this and I want to help and I want to be a part of what's happening? Or am I doing this because of something else? It doesn't mean it's just for you, but you have to check. 2s have to constantly check their motive for helping. That's just like a watch out for a 2, so that it does not lead them down the dangerous road of giving, getting nothing in return, or feeling like they're overextending themselves. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
I lived the first 50 years of my life that way, for sure. Maybe 55.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was older that I turned that around.
Wow. Yeah. Because it's
I will.
get stuck in that loop. It's easy to get stuck in the unhealthy loops, for sure. Go ahead, Erin.
Oh, I was just gonna say I just said no. Well, and I don't want to say like I just said no for the first time, but I was asked to be part of a group, a small group, and I really thought about it. And normally I would have just said yes because I wouldn't have wanted to hurt any feelings.
Right.
And I just said, you know what? It's just not going to work for me right now. I have too many other commitments going on, and I just don't have the time. And I was like so nervous about doing that. Like I literally like had like knots in my stomach, but it felt so good when I was done. And I was like, I love saying no.
Yeah. Yes. That's so good though. And
It's empowering.
It is.
Mm-hmm. And you all are in the heart triad as it is. So you're very connected to the impact of things. You're very connected to the why, right? You guys are at a different level of understanding when it comes to the different triads. So you have that desire for significance, and that's in your helping and being a part of things and being able to help people out. But you are feelings imbalance because sometimes you'll drive yourself nuts trying to see how can I do that for others? How can I be a part of something? Is there a way I can say yes, right? That's why the struggle to say no is there for it too, because but I really want to help and I really want to, do the right thing or be able to be a part of it. So what are some of those, stressors for you when it comes to, that desire for significance and wanting to make an impact in others' life? Is that something that you guys struggle with? Because your emotional struggle is shame, but it's the shame of turning people down. For two specifically, the emotional struggle with shame is essentially turning people down and focusing on you as if you're not important, but you are important. But that's the struggle for it too. And I know that started in childhood for a lot of the type 2s because they had to create the significance for themselves by being helpful. Like they had a parent that said to them, "Oh, you're so helpful," or "Oh, I really appreciate you, helping your sister or helping your brother or helping an aunt or an uncle." And so then basically you got into this cycle of, I need to be that person. I need to show up for people. I need to, it doesn't matter how I feel or if I'm tired or if I don't want to be a part of it. It's, you receive those accolades for being helpful and being, a part of things. Did either of you find yourself in that position growing up and then if you didn't, you felt shame, like, oh, why couldn't I just do it? Or why couldn't I be more helpful? Like, did you find yourself in that position growing up? Either of you? I see, Erin, you're saying yeah. Did you find yourself in that position?
Oh yeah, I was the oldest child.
Okay.
So I was always the helper, and it was always like sold, like, oh, you're like your mom's special helper, your grandma's special helper.
Yeah.
So definitely from childhood. And like I love my parents. I have great parents, but they expected a lot and it was never quite good enough. Like if I got all A's but one B, I was grounded until that B was an A. And if there were all A's but maybe like an A minus, what are you going to do differently? And so I think there's definitely like this ever present drive to make people like to be good enough, I think.
Yeah, there it is. Yep, exactly. How about you, Debbie? That's so good.
I'm a caretaker and the problem solver. I'm still the problem solver. in all of my relationships activities. People come to me to ask for advice, solutions to things.
But do you think that's because you're always offering solutions versus how do they really get to know the real you?
They just come to me. I mean, I've had people that I'm not even close with that come to me at work when they just hung up with a doctor with a bad diagnosis, and I rush them into an office and shut the door and let them cry. I mean, I'm not talking female, it's exclusively male too, that talk to me. I guess they instinctively know. I'm like that ultimate cheerleader. Like, I come into work every day, happy, good morning to everyone, you know, and people are just like, oh my gosh, turn it off. Like, I like to be that bright light. I'm just a natural encourager.
Okay.
That's just who I am, because I think it does stem from my childhood. I want to make everyone feel valued. I make my clients feel valued. I have people with serious problems. They're economically challenged, like they're down and out, and I want to give them hope, and I also give them a solution. I give them referrals to other agencies to help them. That's just who I am. So my job is perfect for me because every day I help people.
Okay. What about you, Erin?
Yeah, that's funny because when I started working at Geneva, gosh, almost a year ago, like, I think in the first week, like, people had told me stuff that there is no way that they had ever told anyone else there. And a couple people actually said, like, can you put a couch in your office? Because, like, it just, like, this is where I want to come to, like, to talk. And I thought, oh gosh, like, I'm going to get in trouble because, like, I have a job to do, and all day long people are stopping in to, like, talk about, like, serious stuff, like stuff. And I am not a counselor. Like, I don't present myself in a way that, like, hey, I could help you with this at all. But I think that they pick up on the fact that A, I'll listen, and B, I'm not judgmental, like, which is sometimes hard to find in different cultures, work cultures.
Yeah.
So but it is draining, like, I'm not going to lie, because being a very empathetic person, then you take all that on as well. So
yeah, that's definitely a watch out for too. I have a friend who's a 2, and I constantly tell her, I know people like to talk to you. I know people like to share things with you. I know you can instinctively pick up on things that people are going through and how they feel, but you've got to learn boundaries to not pick it up and take it with you, because that's a big struggle for her. And I present that out to be probably a big struggle for her too, is to carry around those feelings and to carry around those struggles and those experiences that other people share with you. And I could even probably go out on a limb and say that maybe even sends you to a stressful state if you don't manage it, right? Because both of your stressor number for a 2 is an 8. So you become very direct and very aggressive and very short with people, very demanding, critical. When do you find yourself in that stressful state? What usually pushes you to a stressful state, Debbie?
Well, that's one of my problems. No one sees me angry. I don't get angry. And I think that's not necessarily a good thing, but I don't look at things as this is a bad thing that happened or a good thing that happened. I look at it differently. I look at it, my life is a book. And some situations are paragraphs, some are chapters, some are halfway through. Like, everything serves a purpose. And I don't look at it good or bad. I look at it as it's just factual. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but I am not a person to get angry. I leave other people's emotions, if it's anger, whatever, with them. It's like, it's not going to drag me down, affect me. And I don't get angry, because I've had people say, I've never seen you angry. Why don't you get angry? I can't help it. I do not know why.
So we don't necessarily have to be angry to be stressed.
Well, my stress would be,
yeah,
back in the day when I wasn't balanced and have boundaries, that I would have way too much on my plate.
Okay.
And I did that for years. I did everything. When I started my last direct sales, I sold 100,000 in the first year. And then I recruited a whole bunch of people under me, and I still was super busy, developing leaders. I helped institute the date rape law in Pennsylvania way back, like 40 years ago. I had the biggest letter writing campaign, because everybody I ran into, I put a pen and a piece of paper in front of them and said, here's 5 samples of something to write. Please sit down, take 5 minutes and write this out for me, because it was important. But I wasn't date raped. I didn't know anyone that was, but I was infuriated that the law was, if you were on a date, they wouldn't call it rape.
Yeah.
So take up causes.
That sounds like actually the subtype, the instinctual subtypes. One of them is the 1-to-1, which is called the warrior, which I'll talk about in my class this weekend. Is very how you just described all that is essentially an 8, right? The lust for intensity, the go, the I'm going to protect and make right the injustice that has happened, or injustices to come, and I'm going to correct it. So they are sometimes mistyped as a 2s are mistyped as an 8 in that sexual 1-to-1 subtype, and that's exactly who you sound like talking. So I think that's probably comes off on the average side of an 8 versus the unhealthy. You still move to that average traits of an 8 in that state when you're in that state. How about you, Erin? What are some things that send you to a stressful state? What type of things?
I think the biggest 2 are when I feel like I'm very organized, and like I like to know what my schedule is and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think when, like at work, like for example, one night at like 9:05, I got a text like, please change your schedule. I need you on a meeting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And like that, like I literally didn't sleep. Like I didn't sleep at all that night, because I thought, well, I'm not prepared for this meeting. Like they gave me no time to prepare. Lack of planning on their part is now an emergency on mine. Like that, it does make me a little angry, but definitely stressed. Like, cause I'm like a planner and I don't like to be caught off guard.
Yeah. Not
like,
that one strong
don't
one.
like, and I don't like people stopping by my house. Like I love to have company, but I want to know you're coming, because I want to like make sure I'm dressed and that my dog is put behind the gate. And you know what I mean? Like I don't like to be caught.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Yeah, like that'll ruin my day.
Yeah.
That, and then the other thing I think is like that stresses me out. Is when, and I guess I'm thinking a little bit about my kids here, but like I think I'm a control freak, and when I feel like the house is not picked up and like nothing's getting done, and like I'm kind of losing a grip on order, like some sense of order, it stresses me out. I know it's ridiculous, but
it's not ridiculous. You have a very strong one wing. That's what that is. Very, very. You lean very heavily to the right hand side of your number. But no, okay, that makes sense. That's cool. That's very interesting to hear. And even in the stances, talking about your number, 1s, 2s, and 6s are present oriented. Okay, so you're constantly thinking from a time frame of right now. What's happening in front of me? What's right here for me to do that I can affect, that's right in front of my face. So you're from a present tense orientation of time. You're also compliant or dutiful, as another word that they like to use. So you're very sure, let's do that. No, not a problem. Okay, fine, we'll do it your way. As opposed to kind of bucking the system. You also internalize things versus outwardly expressing yourself. You'll just push it down. You don't act like it doesn't happen, but you'll definitely repress it and put it on the internalize it. You do process through feeling and doing. So you are doers and you do feel it, but you're sometimes thinking repressed. You won't take the time to process things because you'll feel the impact, right? Heart triad. You'll feel that impact, and then you'll feel the need to go do something. That's the gut triad. But sometimes on the thinking side, which are 5, 6, and 7s, you'll kind of vary away from taking that time to process it through. And then the struggle that the 1s, 2s, and 6s have are the struggle to self-evaluate. So again, Debbie has done a lot of work as far as understanding who she is and what does that look like. But for a lot of 2s, because they're so hard focused on everyone else and on relationships and on building the world around them for other people, they do not take the time to look within themselves and understand who they are and understand how they feel and understand what's impacting them. Based on some of that information I just kind of told you, how do you connect with any of that? What does that look like for you, Debbie?
I'm not sure what you want me to answer.
So based on some of those things of describing the 2 in this way, do you feel like you connect with any of that? Does that make sense for you? Do you see yourself resting in this stance?
Well, I am present, but I also am a visionary. So I don't know if that's because of my age, but
Could be.
And I do not dwell on the past. It's over, done with. I don't revisit that.
Okay.
That's in a prior chapter. I move on.
Okay. How about you, Erin? Walking through some of these characteristics.
I am definitely compliant, but begrudgingly, like, just because I don't want to get yelled at. Like, even to this day, I I'll put the mask on just to avoid getting yelled at. I think I definitely process through feeling and doing.
Mm-hmm.
The self-evaluating, I feel like, because I do, like, I know there's probably a stigma to this, but I don't care. Like, I love seeing my Christian counselor once a week. I've probably done it for over 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think that it's been really good for helping me to, like, learn some things about myself.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely tell anybody, and even in my marriage group, like, see a therapist. It's just needed. We need people to talk to about things and to process things with, and that becomes so important, especially even for self-evaluation. Actually, all the struggles for all of the stances. For mine, the struggle to accept reality. I'm always like, nope, that's not what's happening. We can do something better, right? Forward thinking, I'm future oriented. So I'm just like, how do we move on? Like, let's keep it moving, as opposed to seeing what's in front of me. So other people are better at looking at that, like what's in front of us. And I just want to be like, can we just move on? So having someone to walk through those different things do become very important, but it can also be frustrating. So that's my next question. What is it what is it about you, even in your type or as a person, that frustrates other people? What frustrates other people about you, Debbie? What do you do that frustrates others?
Let's ask them. I don't know. I think like if like you would ask the upper management, the supervisors, I can't stand injustice. I can't stand it that people talk down to clients, they treat them poorly. I can't stand it. Makes me crazy. I don't like it when things aren't done right. I want people to be accountable. They don't care at all. So they're frustrated because it's like, we don't care if it's right. We only want our numbers good. So if it's all wrong, who cares? Well, I care because I want it right. I don't want someone to get less food stamps than they deserve. I don't think someone should be talked down to because they have 4 kids to 4 different fathers. That is no business.
Yeah.
I'm here to support you where you are.
Yeah.
And coworkers around me are horrible. I can't stand that. And that is my 2 and my 1 wing.
Yeah.
So I'm protective, and so there's a lot of satisfaction in my job because people say, I hate calling here, I hate coming here, I'm looked down on, but you make me feel good. And I was ready to, rip you a new one, but how can I when you're so nice to me and so helpful? So see, I get a lot of satisfaction in my job.
Yeah. What about you, Erin? What are some things people think are frustrating about you?
I think it would definitely depend on who you would ask. I think like my family would say like I definitely have like very strong walls built up.
Okay.
I'm in this self-protective place, I guess, right now that like you're not going to hurt me because I'm not going to let you in. So
yeah, that's taking on the unhealthy traits of your 8. Yep.
Yeah, a little bit of that going on. I don't really talk about like what I'm feeling.
That's annoying.
Yeah, I think at work, like I'm kind of with you, Debbie. Like I don't like, I can't stand when I feel like there's when people are being judgmental. Like, and I will speak up for that and say, like, wait a second, like, is this how Christians, like, is this Christian? Like, really?
Pretty sure I've asked that question like probably 250 times in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. It blows my mind sometimes. But yeah, it blows my mind. But that and like, and I'm sure like when it comes to managing people, like I'm pretty easygoing. I'm probably more easygoing than my boss would like, because I'm kind of like, you get your work done. I don't care how you do it. I don't care when you do it.
Yeah.
I am not going to micromanage.
Yeah. So are there times when you guys just feel misunderstood?
Yes. Not in my other relationships, but at work. Like I am for the client and I go by the regulations. I mean, if I'm going to err, I err on the side of the client, but it's not like anything egregious. It's like if they get a bonus pay or they worked overtime, I'm not necessarily going to count it because it's a one-time deal. It's not that. But, even I got an email today from a superior and they clearly didn't know the regulations. They were wrong. So it makes me crazy. It's like you work here and you don't know the regulations. I am going to do what the client wants because it's in the regulations. And so here's the dilemma. Do I point it out to them? I don't want to tell a superior they made a mistake or they're wrong. And the thing is, they copied other superiors in on it. No one caught it. And that's what makes me crazy. It's wrong. Wrong is wrong. Like, I'm not a perfectionist and I don't have to be right. But the client is asking for something and they're entitled to it and you're not going to give it and you're wrong. So, I mean, I got the manual reference out. So it's like, I'm just going to do it and not say anything to anyone. They'll never know. But because it's only going to cause trouble if I point out that they're wrong, right?
Right. Well,
okay, so that's what makes me crazy. You are 3 bosses above me, and you don't know the regulations. I work in this every day. I know the regulations.
So that's the funny thing about how different types address injustices, right? So the two will, albeit not necessarily quietly to themselves, but quietly to others, will rectify will correct the issue, move on, want to maintain the relationship. That one type 1 next to you will speak out because it's not right, and they want to make sure that everybody understands here's what's right about that. And then take an 8, right? I'm going to speak out about it.
Yeah, but
make sure everyone knows.
Times that's the problem. I've done it so many times. I'm a troublemaker to them because I care about things being right.
Yes. So,
and I'm not going to do it wrong because you're directing me to.
Yeah, but you care about it being right because of people.
Yes.
The one cares about it being right because of that's what it says in the book. And the book says this is what it is.
No.
And then
I want people.
No, that's what I'm saying. So 2s care about it. That's why we all have different core motivations.
Yeah.
And I'm going to care about it being right because I feel like it's an injustice, because they need to rectify it, and it's not right. And I don't want to go along and get along, even if I corrected it on the back end myself. I need to know that you were wrong, right? So that's so important too, this understanding why we do what we do, and important for numbers to take that into themselves and understand, like, why do I care about things? What does that look like for me? Because once you start to understand what those activations are, what those triggers are on the inside of you, you're better able to navigate when those opportunities and those things come up that cause you stress, or that cause you to look at things that normally would be looked at negatively, and like Debbie's learned to do, to turn it around in a positive way. So essentially she's learned how to snap, right? Stop, notice, ask, pivot. She's learned how to pivot in a different direction, and that's so good.
Well, what I do is they sent me an email, don't do this, and I put in the narrative, per ops memo, blah, 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 this action was taken. So then when if they get all huffy, I told you not to do that, and they read my narrative, they see they were wrong without me calling them on the carpet and embarrassing 3 people above me that they're wrong.
Yeah. So what's so how do you go about mending relationships when there is a rift? So, because I would imagine that could be a hard thing for it to do, to fix something that's gone awry, or something that's kind of broken, so to speak, in a relationship that they have. How do you go about mending broken relationships or things that have gone in a different direction than what you intended?
I guess it depends on like how important the relationship is to me, but if it's important, like I have no shame. Like, I'll apologize. I will like reach out. I had a misunderstanding with a friend recently, and like didn't even really know what happened. And after letting it fester for a while, I just texted her and said, like, hey, I'm not sure if I did something.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I thought you were mad at me. And it was just so silly.
Yeah.
But I will go to great lengths to try to make everything okay.
Okay. How about you, Debbie?
Yeah, being a relationship person, I want to sort things out, but I was friends with 2 different people, one a business associate for 30 years and one a very, very close friend. And I came to find out that both of them betrayed me in different ways. And I decided that I knew that I had to cut them off. You know, I just couldn't believe it. Like, I don't want to say I'm naive, but I am Pollyanna-like, and I see all the good in people.
Yeah.
And I also believe when people tell you who they are, believe them. So I had to reconcile those two sides, and I did not, the personal friend, we just stopped calling each other. No incident happened, nothing happened. And the business relationship, I just didn't book any more appointments. And I still would send her a text, happy birthday or whatever. And I don't know if she knows that I know that she betrayed me or not by talking about my personal life to someone not in my life. Like, I don't know if she knows that I know or not, and it doesn't matter. But I did not confront those two people.
Okay.
I just let it go, which is unusual, but I was up to my neck in life events, selling my house and cleaning it out and doing a lot of things, moving, that I just let it die a natural death. And if the opportunity had arose, I've never seen either of them since. But they might know.
Okay. Well, that's two different ways, coming from, both of you are type 2s, one that immediately addressed versus you just, like you said, you let it die naturally. Yeah.
Now I'm in a different point in my life, and definitely would. Someone said something to me recently that I need to address. It was in public, and there were children around, and I was so appalled at the words coming out of her mouth. I quickly changed the subject because I didn't know if the kids heard, and I was afraid what was going to come out of her mouth. So I need to call her up and revisit it, which I'm planning on doing this weekend.
Okay.
And saying exactly what did you mean by that, and the reason I dropped it.
Right.
I think she knows she crossed the line, but maybe not. So, but I need to talk to her about it. I'm not afraid to have a difficult conversation. I have to do it at work every day, and I just tell people honestly, this is how it is, but this is the good part of it, but this is the bad part.
Yeah.
So I'm not afraid of that at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk through, lastly, just what are some tips for relating to it too? Because that's the thing, we all have different perspectives. We all have different ways that we handle things in life. And it's important to start to understand, especially, listening today, kind of how you've all described your life, how you interact in your life. Someone is starting to think maybe, I know some 2s in my life. So let's talk through, how do we relate to 2s to create rapport, right? That conversation, step forward to make contact. Give approval or appreciation when possible. So I know you both talked about wanting that appreciation for the things that you do, giving you both the approval, and then stepping into the relationship so that it's not just one-sided. Try to avoid hurting their feelings by being too critical or by not taking them seriously, because that can be an issue for them. Join them in valuing warmth, personal contact, and partnership. You both talked about that. You like doing life with people. You like the relationship. You like being able to be there for people and be useful, be helpful. And to avoid conflict, ask them to take responsibility for getting what they want rather than indirectly blaming others or evoking guilt, because sometimes, especially if they're an unhealthy 2, that's what will happen. It'll be the other person's fault why they didn't do what they were supposed to do or why it turned out badly. Head off outbursts by bringing out their dissatisfaction or resentment. Why? Because you guys are going to push it down and you're going to act like it didn't happen, and you're going to want to just, want things to just smooth over and be better. So it's important to help them process, right? Because you're thinking repressed, to help them process through their emotions and their feelings. That becomes very important for them. To support their growth, help them pay attention to their own needs. And again, these are bending more towards average to unhealthy, and their feelings. And to set boundaries with other people. Debbie mentioned that being pretty important. Encourage them to take out time for themselves and remind them to breathe into their bodies, right? Let their feet be grounded. Let them be aware of where they are, especially if they get into any excitable type of interactions, because that can get them off kilter, because again, 2s are more concerned about maintaining the relationship and maintaining the cohesiveness of the social environment. And lastly, the higher emotion or growth transformation for a 2 is to find oneself in a relationship and not make it automatically about someone else or about the other person, but balancing that dependency and the autonomy. So not pushing themselves to the back, but that they're important too, and they are a member of the relationship that's important, and you are valuable and you are worthy. So help the two see that in themselves. So help them bring that out. So with that being said, I always like to ask the people I talk to, what's one tip that you would also give to people who may be listening that they can offer to help relate to a two? Erin, what are you thinking?
I guess I just kind of go back to for trying to avoid maybe making a two feel guilty.
And that's mentioned up there too, exactly, evoking that guilt. Okay, that's a good one. How about you, Debbie?
I think to show up and to recognize them like they recognize you.
Okay, I like that.
Just that when people do something for me, I think, gee, it's so nice to have that come back to me because I'm such a giving person and I recognize you on your special day or whatever. It's nice to have it reciprocated.
Yeah.
So just showing up and recognizing me sometimes.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, for stopping by with me today on Enneagram'd on Purpose. Again, a segment of On Purpose Planning and Consulting. And once again, the thing we like to leave you with is that we challenge you to do better on purpose. Thank you for tuning in to On Purpose Coaching with your coach, Joanie Bob. Make sure to subscribe down there in the right-hand corner and like my videos if they made an impact on you today. Visit my website, onpurposeplanningandconsulting.com, and sign up for your next step in practical improvement. Use code Enneagram for 50% off a one-time coaching session until the end of July this year. Believe me, it will be worth every penny. Again, thank you for listening today to On Purpose Coaching, where we challenge you to do better on purpose.